Hi everybody, my name's Ceri Lewis. I'm the General Manager at Mount Linton Station and I also run the cattle program. So the cattle program involves a stud herd of 800 cows and a commercial herd running alongside that of 2,400 cows. We're very fortunate to have the commercial side to the business because it acts like a benchmark for our stud cattle program. So we can see the progeny coming through, getting killed, and see their kill results, their marble scores and their carcass weights. So I had a light bulb moment about 15 years ago while I was over in Australia. Went out to a restaurant one night in Melbourne and ate a marble score 6 grass-fed Angus steak, and it was the most outstanding eating experience I'd ever had. And ever since then I thought, if you've got to have a cow that its primary function is to groom pastures for lamb finishing, why wouldn't you have a cow that produces a product like this rather than a grinding product? So there are 3 key areas that we need to look at when we're focusing on eating quality. The first one obviously is genetics. Without genetics, you're never going to get there. If you haven't got an animal that's got a genetic propensity to marble, doesn't matter what you feed them or how you manage them, it's not going to come through. The second area we need to target is the feeding of those animals. So we need them to grow every day we've got them, and we need to grow them as well as we possibly can every day we've got them. So our target is to grow them at between 0.75 and a kilo a day throughout their lives. That's from the day they're born right through to slaughter. We're targeting a 300 kg carcass animal at Mount Linton, minimum, because we find that if they're not up to 300 kilos, then they don't express that marbling, so that's a minimum. And of course there are other aspects that come into that. For an early maturing animal, you do need a level of rib fat and rump fat, so we need it to be prime enough to be able to finish at 300 to 325 kgs before its second birthday, and to do that we need some fat in the system. So our program at Mount Linton is that those calves, once they're weaned, go onto the hill country over the winter. They're up there for 6 months on swedes or kale. They'll come back down in the spring and then they go on to what we call our rocket fuel mix, which is a clover dominant pasture, red clover, white clover, plantain and a little bit of fescue, and they do really well over the summer on that pasture, typically putting sort of a kilo and a half a day on average, right through till the autumn. And then in May, we transition those animals onto Fodder Beat. The good thing about Fodder Beat is that if the animals have a genetic propensity to marble, then the Fodder Beat will enhance that. So typically we'll find that they can marble quite well off grass at sort of 16, 17 months. But once they've been on Fodder Beat for about 40 days, then they get incrementally higher in the marble score, depending on the length of time that they're on the Fodder Beat. So it's a key part of our feeding system. The third area that we target is the management of those animals. So it's really important, first and foremost, to have quiet animals. So docility is something that we are really strong on in our selection process when we're looking for bulls, and also how we manage those animals throughout their lives really. So every time those animals come through the yard, we want them to have a stress-free experience. So the yards need to flow well. When the animals are coming into the yards, we don't use hunterways, we just use heading dogs, and we just make them walk. We don't let them run. We don't use sticks in the yards at all. We just make sure that the yard's got really good flow, and every time they get weighed, it's just a really calm experience for everyone involved. So it's really important to get buy-in from everyone who's involved in that process, right from the first time they come into the yards until the last time they go onto a truck to get slaughtered. So we share kill sheets with all our staff, and the trucking company is always ringing up asking how each load went when the kill sheets come through. So getting that buy-in is really, really important. What we found early on in the piece was some of the animals going onto the truck were coming back with high pH levels and poor meat colour. So we did a bit of research, and I was scanning everything onto the top deck and bottom deck and found that the animals on the top deck were the worst. So we built a double deck loading ramp and virtually solved that pH problem overnight. The other tool that we have in our toolbox to be able to maximise our genetic potential from marbling is to carcass scan the heifers. So an ultrasound scan of all your replacement heifers will tell you which ones are the top animals and which one are the bottom, so you can tighten that bell curve right up and get rid of all those animals that don't fall into that program. So a couple of the programs, the premium programs at the moment, are the Silver Fern Farms BFEQ program, which we've been involved with for many years and were pilot farmers for that in developing the program. and our hit rates on the Beef EQ program have gone from mid-50s to early 90s consistently now. So the second program that's more recent is the Alliance Handpicked Beef program, and they are paying significant premiums for animals that MSA marble score 2 or better and up to marble score 6. So a recent line of Mount Linton cattle that were killed through the Alliance program, average marble score was just under 5. So in summary, the 3 areas that we've talked about are the genetics, which are number 1, and without that you're never going to be able to achieve anything. The second one is the feeding, also very important, and the third one is the management. So you need to get all 3 right to be able to hit those target premium markets. Good luck.